According to some different reports, Andrew Wiggins doesn't look like he wants to get the jab and could potentially miss some games this year because of it. We'll talk about it right after the bumper. Good people, Jeff Lightsy Jr. here with the Black Boss channel and Victim Formation. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and the notification bell because we upload every single day. And don't forget to meet us October 29th through November 1st at the All Black National Convention down in Orlando, Florida at the Omni. I'll be there. A bunch of other people will be there. Be sure to get your tickets because I would love to see you dap it up, say what's up, chop it up, whatever. But we're here today to talk about Andrew Wiggins. And it looks as if he is refusing to get the jab and could cost him some games. So this is coming from the Real GM Wiretap. It says Andrew Wiggins remains against COVID. Oh, I said the word. But anyway, remains against the V word and could miss home games. It says Golden State Warriors are concerned about the status of Andrew Wiggins this season for home games as he continues to plan to not receive the V word that rhymes with Maxine. The city of San Francisco requires all fully V word people to be allowed indoors for entertainment. Sources believe the NBA will grant Wiggins a religious exemption, but they have to do it. The San Francisco Department of Public Health said it would not comment on Wiggins' specific situation unless he is granted a religious exemption from the NBA. Quote, "We are actively addressing the matter for requests for religious exemptions from V words across many industries, and we will work with our business and entertainment communities on the next step." Now, the San Francisco Department of Public Health said in a statement, quote, "We will provide further clarification on this topic. Wiggins would forfeit," listen to this, "more than $350,000 for each game he is forced to miss." The Warriors recently connected Wiggins with an Oakland doctor who understands issues surrounding the V word hesitancy. Wiggins remains unmoved in his decision against the V word. Think about this. Wiggins looks like he is willing to sit on his hands. $350,000 missed every game that he would miss at home. There's 82 games in an NBA season. Roughly 41 of those are played at home. So we're talking about 41 games. 41 games. Half of his salary could potentially be missed. Now, I don't know how his contract's set up because sometimes NBA players have their contract situated where they get a large lump sum before the season even starts. So maybe it's not half his salary, but it would be a chunk if he is forced to miss the games at home. Now, think about this, guys. Do you think Wiggins is going to be able to do that? Because remember, I came out with this story the other day with the Nets and what they're going through. So there's only 3 teams. So certain cities across this country are forcing people that attend indoor events to be, to have the V word, right? They're saying that if you attend an indoor event, you have to be the V word. So those cities include New York City, San Francisco. The Warriors play in San Francisco. The Nets and the Knicks play in New York City. I came on here the other day and was like, yo, there are reports that there wasn't reports. The Nets GM came out and said certain guys aren't V-worded. They don't have the V word. And so he wasn't concerned at the time, but he's like, we'll get it situated before the season starts. But if the season started today, certain guys couldn't participate. And the reason why I brought it up is because training camp starts next week. Training camp starts next week, and as of right now, certain guys couldn't even participate in practice. You can't do stuff indoors in New York City, and so therefore they couldn't even participate in practice. I have my theories on who I thought some of the players he were mentioning. He didn't mention any player by name, but I had my thoughts on who I thought it was, Kyrie Irving. But it hasn't came out yet. Andrew Wiggins. And then during that broadcast I talked about, I was like, yo, I wonder if anybody on the Nets are going to stand pat. If this will affect anybody on the Knicks, or if this would affect anybody on the Warriors. Well, it looks like Andrew Wiggins is that guy on the Warriors, and he looks like he's going to fight for a religious exemption. But remember, also in my Nets article, the NBA said they weren't granting, now this is as of now, at that time, they were not granting religious exemptions, and you had to go through the city. They're like, no, we're not going to grant anybody religious exemptions. You got to go through the city and try to get one of those. But it looks like they're, Wiggins, his agent, his team is trying to get that exemption through the NBA. This is going to be interesting because this affects the teams that play in those cities directly, right? It affects them, and I talked about this in my last broadcast. This affects the teams that play in those cities directly. If you don't get the jab, it's going to affect those players because you play half your games at home. But it's also going to affect any player on different teams that come into those cities that don't want to get the jab, right? So think about it. If you play for the Chicago Bulls, right? Chicago doesn't have that, that jab policy that you can't go indoors, right? But when you go play the Warriors in Oakland, or you go to New York and play the Nets or the Knicks, and you don't have the jab, you can't participate. This is a dilemma that uniquely is something for the NBA. Because baseball plays outside, football plays outside. Now, it'll be something for NHL as well, but we don't care about NHL. But it's as uniquely a problem for the NBA and potentially the NHL because they play all their games inside. There's no outside NBA games. All the NBA games are played inside. It's also something that's going to be interesting for college basketball. So it's uniquely for basketball. Let's just put it like that. Because all the teams, all the schools are like, St. John's in New York, or the teams that go play St. John's, you technically can't play with a player that doesn't have the jab. You can't go up to New York City and play with a team that has the jab, or go out to Stanford and play with a player who doesn't have the jab. This is going to be interesting to watch during basketball season. Keep your eyes peeled during basketball season on how these coaches, how these teams, how these organizations, how these schools kind of deal with these policies, these jab policies in these cities where if their players don't have the jab, they can't play. And Wiggins, from the reports, allegedly, Wiggins sounds like he's standing strong on this. And if he can't get the exemption, he may be forfeiting $350,000 each game. Game checks, $350,000. Now, is the jab, I'm curious, is the jab keeping your morals and keeping your values or your religious beliefs or whatever, worth $350,000 a game? I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see what you say in the comments. And I'm interested to see if Andrew Wiggins is going to stand strong on this by this alleged report, if he's actually willing to miss games because of this. Woo, man, oh man, oh man. This is going to be crazy to watch during basketball season. This is something that's so subtle. It's flying under the radar that people really aren't talking about. But I'm bringing it to you because it's something that has to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that has to deal with this, maybe your favorite team, maybe your favorite player. If he doesn't have the jab, he can't play in certain cities. Are they going to be willing to bow down and buckle? Are they going to stand strong? We will see. Once again, I'm Jeff Lightsy Jr. with the Black Boss Channel and Victory Formation. Follow me on Instagram. We have dope conversations over there on that platform. Be sure to hit the thumbs up button, like, share, subscribe, and meet me there. Don't meet me there, beat me there. The All Black National Convention, October 29th through November 1st in Orlando, Florida at the Omni. Get your tickets right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. I'll see you next time. Peace.